An exceptional book about cultivation and spirit beasts in the other world, it impresses with its fascination, revealing unique journeys to the reader. In this world, ancient costumes come to life, and charming girls turn into mysterious animals. The immense bias of this world amazes the imagination, creating a unique environment where reality intertwines with fantasy. The seller vividly described the plot of the book, claiming that everyone who read it was satisfied. Realizing what this meant, the main character realized that a whole collection of amazing animal girls was being revealed there. The man said that the author had left, but decided to just give the guy the book. The main character returned home, feeling a mixture of excitement and mystery. Today, having reached the age of 18, the main character is preparing to take an important step in his life. He was faced with a mysterious moment, the book defied his understanding, and he tried in vain to unravel the mystery hidden in its chained pages. After some time, mysterious yellow rays began to glow from the book. The guy was amazed to find images in the book that caused him deep surprise. The girls from the pictures came to life and, like a magnet, began to attract him into the world of their mysterious beauty. He was at a loss, unable to understand what was happening, because his intention was only to look at the images of the girls. When he woke up, he finally opened his eyes, feeling that the past event was something more than just a visual perception. Situated on the bank of an unknown river, he stared around, slowly digesting what was happening, unable to understand what an incredible place he had found himself in. Noticing that he was not in his body, he thought about the possibility of rebirth. The new body retains the memories of the previous owner. Here people use spiritual beasts for cultivation, absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. The owner named Jackson found that he was unable to acquire a spirit beast for cultivation, finding himself financially insolvent. Jackson realized that it would take him 20 years to accumulate enough funds to purchase a spirit beast and begin his cultivation path. Jackson, who had recently experienced a meeting with the son of the city chief, overheard a conversation in which he expressed his intention to drug his classmate, and this caused him deep anxiety. The boss's son, having learned that Jackson was eavesdropping on them, ordered his men to arrest the guy. Jackson evaded arrest by fleeing alone and hiding on the outskirts of the city. The main character could not understand how Jackson lived to his age, finding himself in such difficult situations. The book that revealed this world to him stated that they had similar names and appearances, and being reborn into his body had the least impact on them. The main character kicked the book, stepping on the mysterious pages, and could not understand how it brought him to this world. Jackson realized that the guys trying to detain him were being overly persistent. The book insisted that he could not escape, offering to enter into an agreement with her. With no choice, Jackson asked how to enter into an agreement. Then, after a few seconds, he simply put his hand to the book. He was informed that he had made a contract with the immortal sacred body, and the contract was signed. The guy flared up with anger upon learning that he had signed a contract for an immortal body. The book said it was time to draw the first animal girl. The guy acquired an ancient spiritual beast called the Fire Phoenix of Chaos. Indeed, a girl named Sophia appeared in front of him. She looked amazing. The guys who were pursuing Jackson offered to catch the girl and present her as a gift to the master. Sophia immediately used her power to defeat her opponents. Jackson was amazed that she easily dispatched all of her opponents with one powerful blow. Approaching him, Sophia said that she had finally waited for her master. To begin with, Jackson suggested killing the guy who was left of those guys. Sophia said that they would discuss this later. As she approached, she was ready to tell him something important. By inviting Jackson to get down to business, she introduced an element of determination into the plot, emphasizing her devotion and readiness for important action. Sophia revealed that he is the reincarnation of the demon emperor, and she is his concubine. Since the demons are in danger, she convinces Jackson to take control of the situation. Sophia began to explain that his ability to open this book was indisputable proof of what she said. The girl was sure that there could be no mistakes. Jackson was confused, not knowing what to do in this unusual situation. Jackson nevertheless decided to speak out, inviting Alice to start. Finally, he only asked her to be more gentle, admitting his inexperience in new realities for him. Jackson flared with rage when the girl simply disappeared right before the action began. The main character stated that he would poke at the book until it died. The source of all this power in this world is the energy that the human race uses by absorbing it with the help of spirit beasts from heaven and earth, transforming it into true chi. The immortal body is capable of absorbing energy anywhere and at any time. It is also possible to transfer energy from beast maidens through sexual intercourse. He had just arrived here and his reserves were now almost zero. The spirit beast's energy requirements were higher than his current absorption rate. If he summoned a spirit beast now, he would die from exhaustion. Jackson could finally understand what kind of demon clan was mentioned in the book. Last winter, the demon emperor passed away, and during this time, human monsters raided the demon capital, killing many demons. To protect the demonic bloodline, the demon empress sealed the 15 strongest female beasts within the body of the book. He was sent to Earth with a mission to open a portal between two dimensions. Her task was to wait for the reincarnated demon emperor to return. Jackson had to reproduce with 15 beast maidens and revive the demon race. Jackson realized that he was the demon emperor, but he was being used as a breeding male. The book claimed that each of them represented a new experience, because they included not only chickens, foxes and rabbits, but also tigers, bears and lizards. Jackson realized that both humans and monsters considered demons the main problem. Showing his face would certainly mean death, and he refused such a risk, realizing how dangerous it was. But it was too late to refuse the contract. The introduced element of inevitability and inevitability gave the situation a new level of tension and tragedy. But if he refuses to cooperate, the book will allow them to eat him. Jackson is sure that Sophia can easily finish him off. He has to follow the instructions of the book to survive. Phoenix looks good, so perhaps he will be calmer with her. Now he will have to work hard every night. At this time, the main character heard some kind of fight behind him, but he didn't even imagine that in a split second swords would fly at him. The lord of the city appeared before Jackson. Jackson realized that the subordinate henchmen had brought their master. The book told him that he must now fight this battle on his own in order to feel his strength. When he was attacked by an unknown creature, he easily fought off its attack. The blow was so strong that the creature flew several meters away, breaking everything in its path. As it turned out, at that time some girl was watching all this. Now the main character understands what real strength means. But suddenly, out of nowhere, a snake appeared and immediately began to wrap itself around the guy. The lord of the city ordered the tiger to attack the guy. But at that time the same girl appeared and repelled the attacking tiger with one blow. As it turned out, it was the daughter of the head of the hall called Marshall Hart, named Alice. Jackson realized that Alice was a classmate of the city lord and the object of Jackson's past. She saw how the Lord led his people out of the city, and followed them here. Alice asked if the guy wanted her to tell his father about it. It was only after some time that she realized that Jackson was not his classmate. The girl finally understood why he was making fun of him. Jackson said he tried to poison her to maintain his credibility. After these words, the ruler became furious and began to attack Jackson. The Lord said that he himself provoked him, so nothing would happen to him if he killed him. But Jackson also did not intend to just stand by and watch all this. From this moment he begins his own path in the world of immortals. In an incomprehensible way, it so happened that the ruler and his beast simply collided and kissed. Alice then brought Jackson to her father's martial arts hall and asked to take him on as a student. Father, to be honest, did not really believe that Jackson could defeat the ruler. With his immortal sacred body and a few more martial techniques, he was actually able to do it. The main character is confident that he can make an excellent career in this world. Then Sophia appeared and said that she couldn't wait any longer. If a girl knocks herself out of the book, then her strength is reduced by exactly half. The book reported that she tried to hold the girl with all her might. The more power he had, the stronger her attraction to Jackson. Of course, Jackson couldn't allow this, because Alice would be back any minute, and if they were seen, everything would be over. Sophia tried her best to attract Jackson's attention. Suddenly, under the twinkling stars, the great governor of the city, whose face reflected power and wisdom, joined the Advent group. The father's voice pierced the night silence, filling the air with important words that every master must remember, that this is a hall, a sacred place of learning and creativity. Fury flared within him that someone had dared to stab his son, anger blazing in his eyes. Then Jackson's shrill scream was heard. The tension in the air dissipated when, a moment later, the premonition of the inevitable answer to Jackson's cries was correct, and he came to them. Meeting Jackson, the man threw something mysterious in his direction. After that, a 4-star spirit beast, a leaf mantis, whose appearance was so exquisitely colorful, came onto the stage. It turned out that the man whose rage flared earlier was carrying a jade pendant that, to everyone's sparkling amazement, could transform into a stunning spirit beast. Sophia joined the meeting, and her voice sounded like a soft summer wind, delivering important news that Jackson could finally rest from unknown anxiety. Immediately after, Sophia began to fight the leaf mantis, her eyes sparkling with determination and strength, ready to face the challenge. Hungry for revenge, Sophia flared up in anger as the mantis, instigated by evil, bit her clothes. Sophia, feeling that it was time to end this fight, decided to resort to her secret weapon. Suddenly confused, the girl stopped as the leaf mantis was abruptly called away. A man's voice came from the shadows behind her, declaring that this leaf mantis would obey her. However, Jackson suddenly decided to intervene in this conflict. The father, in bewilderment, could not understand where Jackson drew such sudden strength. The main character confidently declared that Sophia belongs to him, and no one can take her away. The words of the main character immediately confused Sophia. She was confused. The head of the city began the conversation, noting that he usually does not get rid of weaklings. He offered to give up the beast and, in exchange, promised to spare the hero's life. Of course, the main character was not going to submit to the man's conditions. Alice, feeling a growing threat, turned to her father with a plea for help. With Jackson already having accomplished so many incredible feats, it was clear that the possibilities were endless. Upon learning that the head was about to resort to heavenly fists of destruction, the man's face instantly changed its expression. He was convinced that such a blow could not be avoided, and the time had come for Jackson to die. Of course, the father could not allow the master to use this technique on his child. However, at that moment Jackson did not show the slightest sign of nervousness. He remained calm and unshakable before the upcoming test. Unfortunately, the man did not have time to intervene, and yet the master carried out this attack. In addition, the master began to announce that he was not going to just let go. Immediately, Sophia and Alice ran up to the main character. They were a shield, ready to protect him from unknown dangers. With a common caring impulse, they decided to make sure that the main character was all right. Their gazes were filled with warmth and concern. Jackson was in pain because his arm was dislocated. Sophia hugged him and whispered that he scared her to death. Her hug was a sign of caring. The father did not understand what was happening, because an ordinary person would have fallen long ago under a powerful blow, but Jackson stood on his feet, invincible, flirting with girls as a sign of his unusual strength. Everyone tensed, because Jackson could not be allowed to clash with the master, the most influential man in the city. This could lead to unpredictable consequences. Of course, after such an incident, the man plunged into indescribable rage directed at Jackson. It turned out that the man simply called Jackson a real talent, and instead of anger there was laughter. The man announced that Jackson could now actively study in the Dorian sect, promising to pay for his training and fees. The man did not even listen to his son when he tried to express his thoughts. Alice was confused and could not understand why the man had changed his mind so suddenly. Jackson asked Sophia not to look at him that way, his eyes reflecting a mixture of shame and determination that required understanding and support. In the master's office, he dared to ask Jackson if he wanted to share where he got this spirit beast from. Deciding not to pry into other people's secrets, he asked Jackson if he knew why the gentleman suddenly changed his attitude towards him today. The main character also found it strange, and he himself could not understand the reasons for this sudden change. Jackson tensed slightly when he heard from the master that the master told him that he could not be friends with anyone but Jackson. Master called him here to discuss the 6 districts battle duel. After the master's careful story, Jackson realized why he insisted on his participation in the tournament. If Jackson wins the tournament, he will be a great success and the whole county will be proud of him. Jackson, showing pragmatism, asked to forget about the glory and get down to business, asking what benefits and rewards awaited him if he joined the tournament. Jackson was confident that he did not have to participate in the tournament, for he could slowly increase his cultivation without having to deal with the revival of the demonic race. After these words, the book simply attacked Jackson. The magic of words turned into physical force directed at the main character. His excuse was that it was all just a joke. Then, looking in front of him, he saw Alice. Her eyes reflected surprise and the question of what happened. Jackson, at least, tried not to look at the girl. And then Jackson suddenly found out that no one except him saw this book. Alice, outraged, ordered her beast to catch this pervert. Of course, the creature immediately began to attack, obeying the orders of its mistress and becoming an instrument of her retribution. Jackson, turning to Sophia, began to say that they needed to find shelter. Sophia admitted that she would really like to keep Jackson warm at the moment. Of course, Alice did not keep herself waiting and ran after them. Sophia could not understand why Alice was so angry. In her irritation there was a secret that had not been revealed to her. Jackson said now is not the time to talk about naked beauties. Alice began to admit that she had underestimated Jackson, and now she intended to correct her mistake. Just at that moment, after Alice's words, she slipped on the ice, and, oddly enough, the girl immediately began to fall due to the ice on the floor. Jackson, trying to avoid trouble, began to come up with excuses, claiming that he did not see anything because he had vision problems. Alice was sure that he was lying, and invited her beast to attack together. Or he realized that she has a water attribute, and if she attacks along with the mica octopus, she can kill him. Just at that moment someone shouted for Alice to stop. As it turned out, it was her father, and he asked if she was trying to destroy the school, his voice sounding a mixture of concern and question. She immediately began to explain the whole situation with Jackson. The man began asking Jackson if he had anything to say. The main character looked down and said that since he saw everything, admitting in the presence of the truth and what happened, but then he realized that this looked very strange. Jackson realized that the master was watching from the roof. If he saw everything that happened, it just means that he took advantage of this situation and turned it to his advantage. In the meeting room, the master began to explain that after careful overnight negotiations, Jackson admitted his mistake, and he was ready to represent their district in the competition. The master said that they both must work hard to improve their skills. The guy remembered that the master mentioned a team of 3 people, but could not understand who the third member of this team was. To their surprise, the ruler of the city came to them and said that Jackson was lucky to be alive. When the master announced that Jackson would be captain, the guy became furious. In addition, the master was sure that the guy's father also supported him. Alice asked the guy to keep quiet, considering that he had been captain for 3 years in a row. Jackson had to shut up too, because if he made a fool of himself in the competition, she would tear him to pieces. Michael couldn't understand what was going on, because just yesterday Alice was defending Jackson, and today she wants to tear him to pieces. Jackson began to explain that he accidentally saw her naked in the shower last night and she hated him. In the forest, Michael said that he and Alice would collect herbs, and Jackson should go left. Jackson agreed that he would go and find all the herbs he needed. The book reported that the aura resulting from the fusion of herbs was slowly absorbed into the body, warning about how these plants should be treated. Jackson could not understand what they were telling him. A mystery arose before him that needed to be solved. He was very hot, and his chest was burning. The internal fire flared up with uncontrollable force. As it turns out, there is only one way to fix this, and now it was time for Sophia. She was the key to solving the problem. Of course, Jackson was not happy with this decision. The girl, in turn, asked him to be more gentle. Sophia literally attacked Jackson immediately, beginning the process of correction with complete determination. She said that she had been waiting for this for 1,000 years. Her words sounded like a long-standing hope that had finally come true. Of course, the main character already woke up after a while, plunging into a new stage of events. He still could not understand where his clothes were. A mysterious atmosphere of uncertainty reigned around him. Sophia said that she had the gentleman's clothes and did not want to give them away. Jackson, for some unknown reason, asked why she wasn't wearing it. The main character was stunned, because it was his first time doing this, but he did not have a single memory. Sophia immediately began to quickly get ready in order to leave quickly. It is unclear for what reasons, but she suddenly began to fall off her feet. A sudden weakness took over her body. She asked Jackson not to ask questions, and when she came to her senses, she would make sure that next time he would not be able to get up. The book asked him not to be surprised. The contract was concluded, in the future, through the stone. Jackson realized that this would give him an advantage, giving him the opportunity to control his strength in battle. And then they grouped together all together, because someone made a decision. Jackson was sure that it was definitely not Michael and Alice. A guess arose in his mind as to who could have made such a decision. The main characters had some very strange premonition inside. Some stranger began to say that Jackson's aura suddenly disappeared. He assumed that he sensed something approaching him and ran away. The man was sure that whoever it was, he must have found the best spiritual herb. His gaze was very cool and self-confident. At this moment he gained special determination and control over the situation. And then he decided to shoot directly at the rock behind him, testing his strength and accuracy in action. As it turned out, Alice and Michael were sitting behind him. They watched what was happening with interest and distrust. They were interested in who he was, to which he replied that he was the future star of the district. His words sounded confident in his future success. Alice couldn't understand how he dared to come to the Great Bear Mountain. Jackson is sure that he is a real thief. He has come to someone else's territory and is stealing resources. He was just thinking about looking for something interesting and didn't notice that the two of them were here too. Now that he was caught, he would have to act. He had no choice but to silence them forever. The man summoned a fiery sparrow and a strong hedgehog, calling on powerful allies ready to help him in the fight. This was the first time Jackson had seen spirit beasts fight at the same time. Alice asked Michael not to take him lightly, because he was a legendary genius who had competed in 3 martial arts competitions. Alice asked the octopus to use his attribute to deal with the firebird first. Michael in turn will tell his tiger to delay the hedgehog. The man considered their actions very stupid, underestimating the chosen plan and doubting its effectiveness. It is unclear for what reason, but the fiery bird began to attack its own. At this time, some girls reported about the same man who was now in the forest. At this time, the hedgehog rolled straight towards Michael and Alice. The octopus immediately began to defend his mistress. As it turned out, this technique was called the blazing sunball. She couldn't believe that he used heat to enhance the penetrating power of the hold. The baby octopus's ice attribute couldn't handle it. The man began to say that this is the same, passing on the fighting technique. Their 11th has long gone out of fashion. Michael said that he would detain the man, and Alice, in turn, returned and reported everything to the master. The man asked if they really thought they could outrun his phoenix. Yet the man managed, in some unknown way, to burn Michael, demonstrating his inexplicable strength and skill in battle. Michael said fighting a fireball with bare hands was just crazy. He believed that this was the end unless the gods came to their aid. Jackson asked, since he was so smart, why was he competing with them? Of course, Alice was delighted with how Jackson appeared. He could not understand what she was waiting for and told her to quickly run and tell the news. The man asked if he had collected the magic herb that emitted a huge table of light. The main character said that his words are exaggerated and he is not that great. The man insisted that he immediately give him the herbs. Jackson is amazed by the new fighting style, where two beasts attack one. Relying on himself, he was confident that together with Sophia they could cope with all the difficulties. A few seconds later, Sophia appeared, ready to help Jackson. After learning that Jackson had a spirit beast, the man was deeply shocked. Upon learning that a student from a bad school had a spiritual phoenix, the man was amazed. Deciding to test what power she possessed, he entered into an experienced confrontation. Jackson couldn't understand how she suddenly transformed into an 8-star. In one movement, she rose 4 levels, and it was amazing. However, time was running out, and the man's beast began its attack. Sophia was surprised and could not understand how such a weak spirit beast dared to stand in her way. In response to this, she decided to show him what real fire meant. Jackson realized that it was difficult for him to study with her, because her strength could scare people away. Realizing that the man could not resist him, Jackson realized that the enemy had simply given up. Sophia, noticing that they were again alone in a secluded corner, suggested doing something interesting. Jackson admitted that he was powerless and could not help. Suddenly they heard a strange sound from behind. An iron-backed bear, a 4-star beast from the dream world, appeared in front of them. Sophia, who called him a bad bear, immediately rushed to attack. A split second later, Sophia had already completed her attack on the enemy. To their amazement, not a single scratch remained on the enemy. He was covered with invisible armor that repelled any attacks. Iron-backed bears are associated with the earth attribute, and only attacks with wood or ice have some effect on them. Sophia can cook it, but it will be extremely difficult. The guy shouldn't worry, because he has a weak spot, the very lower part of his back, his vulnerability. One targeted blow to this part, and he already becomes helpless. Jackson remembered the warnings about the difficulty of fighting the iron-backed bear, a former demonic patrolman, and his vulnerability in his lower back. Jackson asked Sophia to get the bear's attention, a strategy that required a distraction so he could prepare to attack his weak spot. In response, the girl, taking advantage of the fire rain, created an illusion. The fire drops began to sparkle in the air, giving Jackson the opportunity to prepare for the decisive blow. Of course, the beast instantly drew attention to her. Instincts quickly leaped at the sight of the fiery rain. Finding himself in a complete frenzy, the beast began an unstoppable attack on Sophia. Jackson realized that now was the moment of action to defeat the enemy. After a few seconds, he followed exactly as the book said. The bear felt incredible and indescribable pain. Jackson was surprised at how easy it all happened. A moment later, he noticed how several dozen bears from the bushes were closely watching what was happening. When Michael told his father the whole situation, he could not understand why he was just sitting and drinking tea. He began to explain that that man was not just a person, because 2 months ago he was promoted to deputy mayor of the district. Alice remembered that in order to become the deputy head of the city, it is necessary to receive an appointment from the head of government. If he went there now and faced the headmaster without being calm, his future might be ruined. The man said that he sent his people to clarify the situation, and now they have only 3 options for the development of events. One option is that Jackson will be defeated and killed before the tournament begins. If Jackson wins, the master will feel humiliated, and in that case, he will not spare them. 3 years ago, the overlord commissioned a man to create 100 iron-backed bears to present them to the emperor as city protectors. Since then, enough bears have been bred on the Big Bear Mountain. The man was visited by his spies from Big Bear Mountain. He was informed that Jackson had indeed won. The master was slightly shocked when he learned that Jackson had caught all the bears. The owner of the city is apparently in a state of shock and disappointment. In other words, he had a nervous breakdown. Michael was informed that the only one who could help the man was a healer. Jackson could not understand why Alice brought him to the master. The man began to ask Jackson about the reasons for killing the iron-backed bear, which he had raised for so long. Of course, the main character did not know that he was raising these bears, and no one warned him not to kill them. He began to explain that he intended to use these bears to gain trust and become deputy head, and Jackson seemed to ruin everything for him. Alice asked him to calm down, because Jackson was able to defeat the man and would therefore be able to choose the 6-district competition. He announced that he would have to fight to the death in a martial arts competition. Jackson promised to participate, but was careful not to say that he would take first place. He asked the man not to think that he owed him anything, making it clear that he made his decisions independently. Michael asked Jackson not to be arrogant and even offered to beat him up, not intending to tolerate such behavior. At this time, the main character looked at Michael with a murderous look. The man asked how dare Jackson bully his son in front of him. Jackson said that they were adults and suggested not to make a mountain out of a molehill. The main character said that the reward for winning the money competition does not interest him. After such an answer, the master could not understand what the guy needed then. Then he replied that he needed the technique he was practicing, the thunderclap technique. The main character realized that in such a situation the only way to cope was to use spontaneity. Only unexpected and instant actions could plunge the enemy into confusion. As it turned out, when they fought the master, he only used less than 10% of this technique. Jackson wondered after asking why the man gave him this technique. The thunderclap technique is a Liu family secret, even Michael does not know it. Jackson said there had to be someone to teach him this technique. The master did not agree, because he could not understand how he could give this technique to a stranger like Jackson. The master was used to being an underdog, so he decided to stay at the bottom of the martial arts competition. The man was informed that in order to encourage the desire to win the 6-district fighting competition, the owners of the districts who win the competition this year will be promoted to the emperor's deputies. Of course, everyone present suddenly fell silent and thought. Michael asked his father not to worry and offered to leave the thunder strike technique to him. It is unclear why Michael's new mood plummeted. The man said that he never thought that he and Michael could actually become friends. Alice said it was time for them to train and they had very little time. Jackson said that they would call each other brothers. Now they are brothers with him. At this time, the master called them to him, inviting them to an important conversation or a new stage in their preparation. He said that they should use their time profitably, not waste their youth in idle chatter, but wisely direct their energy towards learning and improvement. After they saw the master in this outfit, they wanted to gouge out their eyes. The master's appearance shocked them. The master reported that Alice's father was too soft-hearted to train them. The difficulty of the training will also increase, and in the entire area they will not find anyone who can teach them except the master. He then said that he would no longer feel sorry for them. A few seconds later, a 9-star beast called a thunder tiger appeared in front of them. A mysterious creature entered the arena. Alice saw such an animal for the first time. Its appearance brought new impressions and sensations into her world, full of amazement and excitement. Michael noticed that only 6-star beasts had participated in the tournament before. The master began to explain that this year the organizers will try to increase the level of the animals at the competition. If they hope for an easy victory, then they will definitely be finished. The man ordered his beast to attack them. Alice was the first to be hit. The master's beast chose her as the first target, testing her ability to cope with a surprise attack. Jackson was surprised by the lightning attack and believed that it was something incredible. The master said that his tiger had amazed them all and asked if they really wanted to win the championship. At this time they decided to use their animals. The first decided to attack Alice, who asked the octopus to detain this tiger. Then Michael also joined this battle. Unfortunately, Alice was still struck by lightning. Michael's tiger also failed in its task. It is unclear why the tiger immediately returned to Michael and began to hug him, because he was very afraid. Only Sophia was left to fight to the end. The master asked to pay attention to the attributes and levels. The fire beast cannot burn the high-star thunder beast, but still she managed to somehow attack the tiger. And after that he completely rolled, so to speak, to his owner. Jackson said that flames cannot defeat him, but fists can. There is a way to combine the efforts of a spirit beast and its master. After these words, the master laughed at Jackson. He decided that then he would violate the instructions of his ancestors and tell him about the method of merging man and animal. Jackson immediately started thinking all sorts of dirty thoughts, a whole picture of possible scenarios and variations appearing in his mind. The master asked everyone to be careful, reminding them of the importance and warning against possible dangers in the next stage of training. The city lord has a strong thunderous aura. The fusion of man and beast represents the transfer of the attributes of the beast into the owner's body. Alice couldn't understand why the number of stars was reduced to 6. Spiritual beasts have a huge amount of energy and can transfer attributes to their master through communication. Jackson realized it worked like a portable battery. After an excessively large loss of energy, the beast enters a period of weakness. If it is attacked, it will definitely die. The person connected to it will also receive damage. For this reason it is usually not studied until reaching the heavenly source realm. One must carefully feel the vibration of the spirit beast pillars and enter into the same frequency as them. Jackson invited Sophia to try too, inviting her to explore the world of merging with the spirit beast and discover new facets of her abilities. She instantly changed her form in a few seconds, demonstrating her flexibility and skill in mastering this art. Jackson asked her to change her clothes now. Now they had once and for all ruined Michael's impression of the word enter, creating an awkward situation that was difficult to forget. Alice's father announced that the first round of the tournament had begun, and their opponent was a neighboring county. The governor ordered them to meet him in person, arranging a fight in the first round. Now Jackson must decide which of them to punish. He felt like they were just muddying the waters, but what was important now was to focus on winning the competition. Now a certain Jason knows everything about them, and they have lost their advantage. The master asked to leave this to him, preparing to take responsibility for the current situation. He will get any information for them, even the color of their underwear on the day of the competition. They must work hard to improve their beasts and their own training. Jackson made various potions from the iron bear that could be used in times of need. The master suddenly remembered his bears and began to cry sharply, overcome with excitement and regret. The father asked Jackson what to do with the training. In his room, he strongly called for Sophia, intending to discuss something important and urgent. Of course, she was ready to do anything for her master. He said that their main goal is to win the 6th district tournament. This time they have to try, and it looks like it's going to be a real wild night for some. To Jackson's surprise, Sophia stopped him abruptly. Jackson was annoyed because he had spent 2 days gathering the energy to do this. Sophia needs 2 months to transform his energy, otherwise she will explode and die in the flow of her unstoppable power. Jackson felt confident inside himself, as if these 2 months were like an eternity. Sophia admitted that she couldn't handle it, suggesting that Jackson unlock another sister from the book to help. Sophia, although not eager to share, realized that the task entrusted by the Emperor to her shoulders was too cumbersome for solo execution. Despite her selfish interests, Sophia couldn't let them make the resurrection of the demonic race an afterthought. She only had one request to Jackson. Even if the future brings him an abundance of women, let Jackson not forget about her. The idea was great, but it doesn't work. When removing the seal from the beast, Jackson is faced with an increase in energy costs every time. With his current supply of poles, it would take him at least another 20 days to consume them completely. There was a tournament coming up soon, so Jackson explained that he couldn't waste the poles. Sophia suddenly came up with an idea and was ready to share it with the others. Offering for the common good, she offered to use her own resources and capabilities. Jackson realized that she was offering a fusion of spirit beast and human. Of course, Jackson shouldn't rush into discovering the second beast. When participating in a tournament, the more powerful his beast is, the better. It is important to have the right attributes for battle, since the more attributes, the more control. The main character has already decided on this experiment, intending to test this idea in his rapid fight at the tournament. They set about executing the merger, combining their strength and determination to reach a new stage in their existence. Sophia repeatedly emphasized her willingness to give herself completely to Jackson. Jackson groaned under the shock of unimaginable pain engulfing his being in the process of fusion. The book said that this was enough and he could now open a new spirit beast. Jackson was almost furious, but he was ready to commit this action. He only had a few seconds left to finally see the new beast. Of course, as soon as the new beast appeared, Sophia instantly recognized it. The girl's name was Amanda, and her bright appearance was that of the silver moon, radiating mysterious power and brilliance in the dark light. Michael was extremely exhausted, but he was lucky to have a tonic potion on hand, which came to the rescue, filling his exhausted body with new energy. Alice was at a loss, unable to understand where Jackson was now. Believing in him and convinced that he was somewhere out there training hard, Alice felt strong confidence in his dedication and commitment. Sophia said that she and Amanda became very close friends. Amanda said she was willing to go through with it with Jackson. When they first met, he asked if she really wanted it. Saying that there was no need to be shy, she argued that they needed to do it right now. The girl fell to the floor, waiting for the next steps from the guy. For some unknown reason, Jackson was obviously confused at this point. Apparently, he decided that this would be his brilliant idea. Suddenly running away, he admitted that he was unable to continue. The book also began to claim that this guy would not be able to cope. Amanda was sure it was because she wasn't good enough. Sophia begged her not to think about it, reminding her that it was not so. Saying that the Emperor loved surprises, she argued that she needed to quickly dress up. At this time, Jackson was simply sitting, amusingly thinking about something, immersed in his own thoughts and inner world. Jackson admitted that although he deals with horny creatures, he was not ready to immediately jump into a sexual relationship with a girl. He figured he should get to know her better first, because he couldn't just jump into a relationship without getting to know her better. Such an honest person deserves to become the reincarnation of the demon emperor, and his sincerity makes him worthy of such a great destiny. There was a vulnerable and withdrawn girl on one team, and suddenly he ran away, making her feel guilty. Jackson is convinced that adding an ice attribute would have helped. Finally, he made the decision to enter the room and call Amanda. It was at this time that Sophia helped Amanda change clothes. Jackson immediately began apologizing, saying he didn't know she was changing. Of course, she was very ashamed of this situation, and she felt discomfort from the unexpected incident. Jackson decided to find out what happened when an unknown sound was heard. Suddenly, Jackson's vision grew dark, and strange things began to happen. However, Amanda finally finished changing her clothes. Sophia felt joy serving in tandem with Amanda. At that moment, the girl glanced somewhere into the distance. As it turned out, someone was approaching, and they immediately took up the defense of the emperor, ready to confront the upcoming threat. Sophia responded instantly to the attack, demonstrating her vigilance and steadfastness in protecting the emperor. Then she even started shooting literally from her fingers. She was willing to die for Jackson, but her primary goal was to ensure his salvation in any way possible. Amanda decided to support her friend in this battle. Just then, a stranger came up behind Jackson. Of course, Amanda and Sophia did not have time to react to this. In a matter of seconds, the main character was taken away, leaving Amanda and Sophia in shock and struggling to understand what had happened. The girls immediately rushed after the stranger with the emperor. The stranger stated that he could not even defend against such a weak attack. He said it didn't matter who he was, all that mattered was that Jackson lived up to his expectations. After this, he increased the pressure, soling Jackson, continuing to demonstrate his ruthlessness and strength in the fight. Sophia stated that she would kill him if he did this again, expressing her willingness to protect Jackson at any cost. But Jackson at that moment only asked him to be a little more gentle. The main character had no idea who this stranger could be. The stranger turns out to have come to see how much Jackson has progressed in cultivation. Since he disappointed him, he will kill the guy in a minute. The main character guessed that the stranger, one of the 3 players who will take part in the competition, if he is caught injuring an opponent before the start of the tournament, his district will be disqualified. The main character smiled all this time and was not nervous at all. He was confident in his abilities. He asked everyone to stand back. Jackson was getting ready to do something powerful. Sophia realized that the emperor was deliberately trying to make a statement. Even if he couldn't deprive them of the tournament, he would advise dealing with one of the district generals first. As it turned out, this stranger was a girl. This made its own adjustments to this story. She began to say that Jackson came here in a second. The girl could not understand how this happened. Michael was trying to watch all this right on the edge of the roof. Well, there was no one there at all and there was only a hole in the roof. Alice said that she would call someone, and for now let Michael get up and look around. The girl asked him not to move so as not to make unnecessary sound. Jackson just couldn't understand where this girl came from. The two of them were clearly uncomfortable. She complained that her legs were numb, after which the guy decided that he would no longer move. The girl shut his mouth again so as not to make unnecessary noise. Michael was right above them at that moment, and was actually looking for Jackson. Jackson stopped himself so as not to think about vulgarities while being next to the girl. Fate depends on Jackson, and he must stay away from his thoughts. Right at that moment, the girl noticed something below her. Her gaze instantly changed, as if something had frightened her. Michael just couldn't understand why there was thunder in this weather. He no longer cared, because it was time to go. He needed to report everything. As soon as Michael left, Jackson was immediately attacked. She couldn't understand how he dared to pester her. The main character began to say that he did not want to. This is a normal reaction of any guy. The girl could not understand how he dared argue with her. The main character said that she should leave before Alice saw her with him, and just after that, the girl abruptly left Jackson. Alice couldn't understand what happened and where Jackson was. A minute later he explained everything and told how it all happened. Alice's father immediately realized that this girl's name was Rebecca. The man said that he had not seen her for many years, and then she suddenly appeared at the most unexpected moment. Alice considered her father's act very vile for no clear reason. Of course, Jackson and his father were sharply surprised by the girl's action. Alice was determined to teach her a lesson she would never forget when they arrived at the competition. The father told Jackson not to let anything happen between his daughters and Rebecca on the field. The father began to explain that all men have walked to the left at some point in their youth. Jackson couldn't believe he had an illegitimate daughter. This requires a month of special training. Michael's strength has improved significantly. As for Jackson, he's also making the most of this latest period of time. Oddly enough, he uses it with girls. And yet, the day of departure to the championship has finally arrived. Michael's father said that without further ado he wishes them all the best. Jackson said that they needed to hurry because they had to get to the palace before evening. This time they will get them there and they will arrive on time. And this will be done by the most valuable and exquisite animal that has been at his disposal for many years. As it turned out, it was a flying chicken of the 3rd star. The next scene will take place in the province where the heroes were flying. All members of the districts had already gathered there. One of the girls looked up and could not understand what she saw in front of her. Everyone present realized that it looked like it was someone from the last district. Everyone present did not appreciate their transport very much. The woman who announced the rules and regulations for this year's 6th district martial arts competition was the right hand of the palace mistress. This year the tournament will be divided into 2 rounds, qualifying in main. The previously published match table is out of date. All teams are chasing staff for the qualifying round. Now all their preparation has gone to waste. For such words the guy instantly got hit in the face. She asked whether there was something that didn't suit him in the decision of the owner of the mansion. After these words there was dead silence. As it turned out, everyone else was also unaware of this sudden change of plans. They were only sorry that they would not be able to invite Michael, Alice, and Jackson to the fight. Alice's father said that they had little information so they would watch and wait. Jackson wondered if it was true that the 6 districts did not know about this in advance. They were all on the same page, so they would fight fairly. The lady of the house did not expect that a martial arts duel would take place in this small prefecture. She could not imagine that these young martial arts masters would interest the Emperor of China and that he would send all of them here for training. The 6 martial arts fight is widely popular in their country, and it's a big thing for them to take part in it. The extra team makes the competition more exciting. These 18 individuals are some of the province's most valuable young talents. There really was some new team that was unexpected for everyone. She only asked them not to make a scene so that everything would go well. After an unexpected encounter with a magical gnome, Michael, Jackson, and Alice are sent to a mysterious cave. It became clear to Michael and Alice that they were in the most mysterious cave in the province, known as the Devil Fruit. The assembled participants, having listened carefully to the rules, realized that by tomorrow evening they would have to go through the 9th level of the mysterious cave, conquer the dragon and return with him alive. Everyone present was surprised to learn that the next test would be bringing a dragon from the 9th level of the mysterious cave. You should not joke with them, because if they are frightened, they do not have the right to immediately leave the competition or ceremony. The earth dragon, which is an extremely rare and extremely poisonous species of animal, has become an object that the participants will have to hunt down. Jackson was approached by a mysterious guy, a real guardian angel, who warned him of the importance of surviving the next round. The guy peered in amazement at Jackson's face, a complete stranger to him, having no idea who he was. Jackson opens up, introducing himself as the wolf of his county, a mysterious man with the ability to frighten men and charm women. His arrogant presentation caused confusion and comments from everyone present, their eyes rolling back at the claims. At the words of criticism, Jackson instantly burst out laughing. He immediately began apologizing to the guy, admitting that he simply couldn't stop laughing. Suddenly, this so-called wolf lost his temper and flared with anger, his reaction to Jackson's joke turning him into a furious beast, ready to attack in response to the insult. The angry wolf instantly summoned his water spider as support, and his faithful friend, the iron turtle, also responded to the call. Alice, assessing the situation, suggested that Michael move on. The interior space of the cave creates ideal conditions for the habitat of aquatic, earthen, and poisonous animals. Michael consoled Alice, assuring them that they would be fine and that they would cope with any difficulties. The most difficult part was navigating the cave rather than avoiding the dangerous beasts, and in this challenge Michael and Alice decided to proceed with all possible caution. Michael invited Alice to go with him, but she resolutely refused, choosing her own path. After 15 minutes, Jackson had long noticed the presence of someone else in the cave. Deciding that there was no point in waiting, he decided to find Alice on his own, heading into the depths of the mysterious cave. He, still at a loss as to how exactly to begin the search, took on it with cautious determination. Then, right in the darkness, he suddenly felt someone's hand carefully reaching out to him. Turning to Sophia, he asked for light, and when the light fell on the surrounding darkness, he learned that standing in front of him was the very girl who had attempted to take his life. Confused, he began to apologize to her, admitting that he had not expected to see her in these mysterious depths of the cave, and trying to explain his actions. She reacted by saying that it was none of his business why she was here and she had her own plans. Then she informed him that besides the team from the 6 districts, there was another team that they should be on the lookout for. The girl explained that she was just aware of the presence of another team. To be honest, she didn't understand his logic. Then, as if nothing had happened, the girl simply began to leave the cave. Literally a second later, Jackson heard a very familiar voice. As it turned out, one of the teams had already gone down into the cave to catch the dragon. One of the team members expressed his bewilderment, not understanding why they would risk it when someone else could have performed this dangerous task. They decided to stay at the exit, hoping to take advantage of the opportunity and steal the dragon from the other teams. Of course, everyone began to idolize the captain's plan, seeing it as the only way to deal with the secret danger of the dragon and beat the other teams at the same time. And then, right at that moment, the same guy who started the conflict with Jackson appeared behind them. At this time, Jackson hurried in the direction of the voice for help. Not noticing the cliff in front of him, Jackson simply fell into this trap. Completely forgetting caution and not looking at his feet, Jackson found himself falling. His fall was instantaneous, and in a split second he found himself at the bottom of this mysterious cave. Of course, Sophia also fell right behind him. Convinced his back was about to break, Jackson realized the gravity of the situation they were both in. Sophia, immediately beginning to apologize and reassure him, said that she would rise now. Telling her to take her time and suggesting she rest on him for a while, Jackson tried to ease the situation despite his own pain and discomfort. Just at that moment he noticed Alice and Michael in front of him. Sophia immediately sprang into action and began helping her friends, breaking them out of the trap. She used her element, namely fire, creating light and warmth around herself to help her friends in the dark depths of the cave. You could tell by the look on Michael's face that he was glad that now they were not alone in this difficult situation. And then, right at that moment, earth ants appeared in front of them. Sophia realized that she had too much on her shoulders, and realized that the fight would now become even more difficult with the emergence of a new danger in the form of earthen ants. Sophia realized that Michael's tiger had passed out from exhaustion, and her strength, although great, had reached its limit. The ice she created proved useless against the earth ants, presenting a new challenge in their difficult adventure. Jackson told Sophia to use her power to its full potential, seeing it as a solution to fighting the ants and saving Michael and his tiger. The girl began to use the fire of the 9 heavens to win, creating powerful streams of fire around herself to cope with the earth ants and regain control in the current situation. Just as Jackson requested, she began to use the full power of her powers in an attempt to confront the earth ants and turn the tide of events in their favor. Alice noticed the futility of fire and warned that they could both be burned alive. Jackson, realizing the futility of the fire, asked Sophia to stop it, now giving Amanda her turn. Alice was surprised by the appearance of another female spirit beast, expressing her bewilderment at this unexpected development. Now Sophia and Amanda were ready to act together, joining forces in the fight against a new challenge in the form of a female spirit beast. Deciding to join forces, they struck the floor in unison, aiming to create maximum effect in the fight against the female spirit beast. Their combined attack had an effect on the ants, and something unusual began to happen to them, highlighting the impact of the combination of their powers in this mystical battle. A moment later, the ants not only crumbled, but shattered into pieces, leaving behind traces of the victory of the combined efforts of Sophia and Amanda. Michael wondered curiously how they were able to achieve this result, observing the extraordinary effectiveness of Sophia and Amanda's combined efforts. Jackson realized that it was important to encourage Amanda and give her more praise to maintain her self-confidence and motivate her to continue to succeed. Sophia asked why the master did not express praise to her, given her participation in the events, expressing her need for recognition and support. Jackson then proceeded to thank both girls, acknowledging their important contributions and emphasizing that they each play a significant role on the team. For Michael's attempt to join them, he began to receive what he deserved. Jackson did not forget to express his disapproval of his previous careless attitude towards the team's task. As it turned out, the culprit of this pain was Alice, who haunted Michael, adding a new element of intrigue and tension to the team dynamics. It seems they have finally reached the second level, and now they are tasked with finding a way to the third level, revealing new facets of the mysterious cave. Jackson was surprised, looking at Michael and his unusual ears. Michael just smiled, calling it a small misunderstanding. Jackson assured Sophia that she could join his team in fighting wild beasts if she could defeat another wild beast. The surface at the entrance to the cave did not seem too difficult to Jackson. He carefully examined its architecture, realizing that an unknown mystery could be hidden inside. The main character realized that regardless of the chosen direction, the path would lead them back here. It is not clear why, but suddenly they decided to jump into this cliff. Michael noticed something strange in the distance and asked everyone to pay attention to it, urging them to look in that direction. Michael asked if the creature could believe that he didn't notice him. Turning to Sophia, he asked her to light his way so he could see the mysterious creature in the darkness. As events unfolded, it turned out that human bones were visible in the distance, which added to the mystery of the place they were exploring. Alice took a closer look and noticed that the ropes binding the bones were characteristic of the hands of disciples from the northern district, which raised even more questions about this mysterious place. Suddenly, a beam illuminated Alice from behind, causing her to instantly turn around, startled by the unexpected light. Jackson turned to Sophia, asking her to keep the lights on, and suggested that they all leave this place. Jackson asked Alice to stay close to him because they urgently needed to leave. At this time, Alice suddenly changed her appearance, causing the others to be surprised and question what was happening. Jackson was naturally embarrassed to see such a change in Alice's appearance, and tried to understand the reason for this unexpected change. Alice suggested that they have fun here, because the place was quite exciting, distracting from current events. Jackson finally came to his senses, but remained perplexed, unable to understand what had happened and faced with the sudden changes around him. Saying that she needed to come to her senses, Jackson expressed concern for Alice, trying to understand what was happening and return the normal course of events. It suddenly became clear that Alice had been poisoned by a spider, and its venom was extremely powerful, instilling strange visions and causing unusual changes in her behavior. Jackson faced a difficulty. He did not know how to deal with this poison, and it was unknown whether Alice would return to her previous state. Jackson realized that the spider's venom had clouded Alice's mind and realized that there was an easy way to do pair cultivation with her to cure her of the effects of the venom. Jackson asked if pair cultivation would really help her return to normal, expressing hope for a positive result. Coming to his senses again, Jackson realized that he did not agree with the proposal, feeling that the possible solution was not so simple and required careful discussion. Sophia didn't like Michael because he was too loud, which made her irritated and want to stay away from him. Jackson wondered if this was really the only way to solve the problem with Alice, expressing doubt and looking for other possibilities. The book asked if she had ever deceived Jackson, raising questions about her trustworthiness and honesty. Of course, the main character was again in shock, faced with new unexpected circumstances that threw him off balance. He declared that he was no longer able to restrain himself from expressing his emotional instability or internal conflict. And finally, he asked Sophia to turn on the light altogether, realizing that in the darkness it was difficult to see and understand what was happening around. Sophia could not believe that the Emperor was showing interest in this, because it was precisely such things that she valued, realizing that it was unusual and provocative. Just at that moment, the same poisonous spider appeared, disturbing the peace and adding tension to the already difficult situation. Light that was too bright made it difficult to see anything, creating an environment full of light but unable to see the surroundings. The spider resolutely continued to descend lower and lower, creating an atmosphere of excitement and anticipation of what would happen next. At the final stage, he decided to swing, giving the movement even greater dynamics, trying to get closer to his goal. And in an instant, Jackson finally caught the culprit behind it all, bringing an end to this tense moment. Sophia could not understand why the spider remained visible in such bright light, leaving her with questions and confusion about the mysterious incident. It turned out that the spider lives underground all year, and its eyes were not used to such bright light. It could react aggressively to it, since too bright light could cause blindness. Instead of attacking people, the spider preferred to simply poison them. Perhaps it was an old cunning predator who chose a twisted but effective method of survival. At this time, the unconscious Michael expressed an unexpected desire, asking to be kissed, creating an additional mystery in their already established situation. Jackson promised to praise him when Michael came to his senses, adding mystery and surprise to their overall dynamic. Suddenly discovering that the spider had a hole in its abdomen, Jackson realized that it could suck out the anti-venom with its mouth, offering an unusual but possible solution to the problem. Jackson, deciding that it was not worth resorting to sucking out the antidote with his mouth, decided to dismember the spider and extract the necessary substance, demonstrating determination in dealing with the situation. And immediately after this, the spider began to transform, taking on a human form, adding mystery and surprise to what was happening. Jackson thought that the spider was again trying to perform some kind of manipulation or use poison, creating additional tension around this mysterious creature. A girl suddenly appeared in front of them, praying for mercy and asking him to spare, adding a new element of mystery to what was happening. Emmy assured that she had no ulterior motives and asked to be kept alive, offering to become a spirit beast for Jackson, bringing a fresh dynamic to the development of the plot. Jackson, honestly surprised, discovered that spirit beasts existed here, causing him disbelief and interest in this unusual aspect of the world around him. Emma began to explain that she did not kill the people from the northern district, but only wanted to observe their struggle, trying to avoid causing suffering. As it turned out, she had never seen something like this, causing indescribable impressions and curiosity in her. Now Jackson realized why she was nicknamed Lust Spider. It was a very accurate description reflecting her strange skill in observing human passions. Emma announced that she did not want to remain in this dark space, expressing a desire to leave it and, perhaps, begin a new stage of her life. For Alice and Jackson, spirit beasts were of no interest or necessity, leaving them aloof from this mysterious aspect of the world around them. Michael said that she was lucky, since he was the owner she had always dreamed of. If she went with him, she would be fed, entertained with his own wrestling show, opening up new horizons for Alice. She refused to go with Michael, explaining that she didn't want to because she only likes handsome men, expressing her preferences and rejecting this option. She had already asked Jackson, expressing her willingness to follow him, asking for protection and support, creating a new dynamic relationship between them. Emma, who also happened to be an expert, knew a shortcut in the cave, adding amazing knowledge and skill to this mysterious story. The inexplicable sounds they heard turned out to be the noise of a night bat, and the dead body they saw was the result of its hunt. Of course, Alice and Michael were immediately terrified, not wanting to become victims like the corpse they discovered and fearing that they might be hanged. Sophia was touched because the Emperor asked her a question, respecting her opinion and giving her importance in this situation. Jackson made the decision to accept Emma even if he didn't like her, demonstrating a willingness to compromise and make unexpected decisions for the good of the group. Then, for some unknown reason, he bit his finger, creating a mysterious and unpredictable action, leaving the others confused. He needed to use some of his blood on her to form a contract with the spirit beast, revealing the unusual aspects of their encounter. A few minutes later, the contract was already signed, filling the air with anticipation and unknown possibilities for everyone present. Emma didn't understand why Jackson's blood gave her a pleasant sensation, creating an additional mystery and sensual dimension to their interaction. Is it possible that his immortal deed has an effect on ordinary beasts? This question has surfaced, adding a new aspect to the mystery of his mysterious nature. It was then that they realized that they had to obtain the dragon located on the 9th level, adding a new challenge to their adventure. Emma began to tell me that the lowest level is the 10th, where a legendary treasure is stored, from which the most powerful weapon, the bone of the Dragon King, can be created. Michael could not understand why no one had given them such important information about the 10th floor, leaving him bewildered and suspicious of ulterior motives. Jackson was afraid that everything was not so simple. He did not believe that the mysterious 7th team came for the Dragon King's bone, suspecting something more complex and mystical. And just at that moment, the same 7th team encountered the bat that Emma was talking about, creating excitement and tension around the upcoming events. Of course, the beast immediately began to attack, causing chaos and forcing the team to quickly take measures to protect themselves and counterattack. The girl asked what would happen if someone found the Dragon King's bone, raising the question of the consequences and possible dangers of this powerful artifact. The guy replied that if such an unfortunate person managed to find the bone of the Dragon King, he would simply die, speaking out about the high degree of danger of this artifact. Jackson stated that he would reveal the name and methods of fighting the bat once they emerged from the cave in preparation for the challenge ahead. Emma reported that they had already been to level 9, adding a new element of mystery and wonder to the overall narrative. Ghost Cave Spiritual Beast, Poisonous Earth Dragon, with 10 stars, this information provided a new level of difficulty and danger to their mission. And just at that moment, the 7th team was already there, creating tension and increased interest in the development of events. Michael noticed that this dragon's venom could even corrode rocks, which was extremely dangerous, adding a new element of threat to their fight with the Earth Dragon. Alice realized that the 7th team was already their enemies, and was pleased to suggest that it would be good if they died in a fight with the dragon, increasing the tension between the groups. And right at that moment, Alice noticed something in the distance, attracting everyone's attention with her observation, creating a new mystery and intrigue. As it turns out, the dragon grabbed Rebecca at this point, adding an element of sudden twist and possible danger to the crew members to the convoluted plot. Alice was determined to not let Rebecca die despite their relationship, introducing an element of humanity and caring into their harsh world. The girl found herself in a truly difficult situation, facing danger and causing the team to make urgent decisions. Her partners were completely at a loss and did not know what to do, creating tension and uncertainty in the situation. Having learned that a lion strike could penetrate iron armor, they found their way out by implementing a new strategy and using the strengths of their power resources. Michael marveled at the strength of the creature's scaled armor, considering that even a lion strike could not penetrate its defenses, highlighting the level of danger of their opponent. The girl did not let up and continued to beg for help, adding an emotional element to the plot and creating tension in the team. Jackson, just in time, caught her at a crucial moment, bringing salvation and introducing an element of surprise rescue into their adventure. During this time, Alice considered him disgusting, expressing her resentment or disappointment towards Jackson in this situation. Naturally, the beast was enraged and very angry, highlighting the danger and concern surrounding their safety. After such a tiger, Michael, as usual, jumped on him and was very frightened by everything that was happening, adding a comic moment to the tense situation. The two of them were lucky that Jackson showed up just at that moment, creating an opportunity for rescue and adding an element of surprise to the plot. The main character himself noticed that this creature has really strong defense, paying attention to its strengths and presenting new challenges for the team. Brute force was useless, and if he fought again, this monster would break all his legs, emphasizing the enemy's undivided superiority. Jackson decided to try a new technique, introducing an element of surprise and uncertainty into the fight against the monster. Amanda's icy essence could manifest itself in any of Jackson's secretions, adding mystery and surprise to the use of his power. Jackson was warned that the beast would attack again, causing a new wave of tension and requiring him to react instantly. It also began to spin even faster, creating an additional threat and making it more difficult to contain it. The main character was confident that his high reaction speed could help him in the situation, adding an element of self-confidence and determination. The blow was truly of incredible force, emphasizing the greatness of the danger in giving the enemy the upper hand in their clash. The dragon took significant damage from Jackson, demonstrating his strength and ability to inflict serious damage on his enemies. High-end prey often requires the use of the most basic fighting methods, emphasizing the need for effective and practical strategies in their adventures. Alice immediately ran up to the guy and said that he was great, adding a colorful moment to their interaction and relationship as a team. And Rebecca herself noted that he was really good, emphasizing the importance of recognition and mutual support within the group. Before the dragon awakens, they must transport it to the ring for storage, creating an intriguing twist in the plot and providing a new task for the team. Michael immediately ran towards the dragon, declaring that they were moving towards victory step by step, inspiring the team and strengthening their resolve. It was at this time that another team approached them, introducing a new element of rivalry and providing an opportunity for an interesting development in the plot. The guy began to say that they were the first to find this dragon, and could not understand why their rivals were now trying to take it, introducing an element of tension and conflict into the plot. He asked if he had asked Jackson for help, adding a hint of ridicule and highlighting the differences between the two teams. The guy angrily declared that he would take the dragon and decided to see who would dare to stop him, increasing tension and causing a possible conflict between the teams. They are so proud of the fact that they knocked out a dragon with one blow that the guy decided to show them what real strength is, creating a challenge and raising the stakes in the rivalry. Then the guy began to take something unknown out of his pocket, adding an element of mystery and unpredictability to the development of events. Then a cruel perverted bear, rated 10 stars, appeared in front of them, introducing a new, strong enemy into the plot and increasing the complexity of the task. Of course, Alice did not expect to face an opponent rated as much as 10 stars, expressing surprise and increasing the tension in the team. Well, the bear was completely at ease with the word, and he began to attack, creating a new wave of tension and causing a storm of struggle in the plot. Jackson asked everyone to stand down, emphasizing his willingness to take responsibility and risk in the fight against a dangerous enemy. Then he simply began to fall, and Emma along with him, creating a mystery and introducing an element of surprise into the plot. This guy's team couldn't understand why he didn't use it sooner if he had such a powerful beast, raising doubts and questions about their opponent's strategy. He explained this by always keeping an ace up his sleeve, conveying his philosophy and emphasizing the importance of a strategic reserve. He wanted to use it on the dragon, but these guys intervened mid-fight, providing additional explanations and increasing the complexity of the conflict. During the fall, Jackson realized that they still had a long flight ahead of them, increasing the sense of uncertainty and introducing a new dimension of suspense into the plot. Well, right in the distance, he saw something in front of him, adding intrigue and arousing interest in what might lie ahead. Plus, after a few seconds he realized that it was lava, increasing the tension and creating a new threat for the heroes. Luckily for him, Emma quickly reacted and caught him in her web, giving the team a chance to escape and adding to the dynamics of the plot. He was truly lucky that she began to fall right along with him, adding an element of luck and strengthening the relationship between the characters. And in a split second they landed safely, ending this exciting episode and setting the stage for the next events. Jackson immediately began thanking the girl for saving her, showing gratitude and strengthening the bond between the characters. But the girl explained that her job is to protect her master, revealing her mission and giving it additional meaning in the eyes of the main character. As it turned out, this was the very 10th level, revealing a new chapter in their adventures and emphasizing the importance of this location. By the way, the great treasure she spoke of is located in the distance, continuing to stir up interest and prepare viewers for new exciting discoveries. Now he is here and decides to take this treasure with him. The problem is how to get there, deepening the internal conflict and posing new challenges for him. The book told Jackson not to even count on it because at this temperature it couldn't do anything, adding complexity and limiting the protagonist's options. Perhaps it's time to help Amanda go wild by introducing a new plot twist and creating potential consequences for the characters. Jackson was asked if he was sure of this, raising doubts and questions about his decision. Only Amanda can help them get out of here now. He will do this solely out of justice, increasing the internal conflict and creating a tense situation. The book fully supported him and told him to take action, emphasizing support and providing him with additional motivation. Amanda wasn't sure she could do it, adding an element of uncertainty and heightening the tension in the scene. If they don't want to leave this lava lake, they must rely on the girl, creating a dependence on Amanda and increasing the dramatic element of the plot. Contemplating the evening pink haze, he realized that the moment had come to intervene in her life, to look after her growing feelings together, while she hesitated in ignorance of her readiness. For her, serving in Jackson's name translated that honor into devotion, blossoming like a tender bud, symbolizing a deep connection to the ideals and values they shared. Jackson, of course, did not foresee that everything would happen so easily and simply. The improbability of events enveloped his consciousness, magic, turning everyday life into something unexpected and exciting. It turned out that Emma injected her master with a little love poison. Now an unprecedented passion was awakening in his heart. The magic potion turned ordinary moments into magical meetings with unpredictable emotions. Immediately after this, he began to feel wildly dizzy. Emma opened the door to a world of exciting feelings, and he felt how every cell of his body was immersed in this whirlwind of unknown experiences. Of course, the guy was immediately turned on. Under the influence of the magic of the evening, the guy, overcome with excitement, instantly plunged into a whirlpool of fun, where his movements became smooth. Opening his eyes in surprise, the guy realized that Amanda was in a trance. Her gaze was fixed on the endless ice field. She became part of a magical dream in which every step on the ice remained a moment of eternity. In a trance on the ice field, suddenly the ice under Amanda's feet began to shake violently, the ground awakened, and the vibrations of each step turned the frozen dance into an exciting adventure, where every moment became a test in the world of magical dynamics. Of course, a wave of unexpected shaking made the girl shake with fear, her eyes filled with anxiety. She suddenly found herself thrown into an unknown world, where every moment carried an unknown danger. So, in addition, a black rocket suddenly flew out from under the ice, soaring into the skies towards Amanda, a ghostly sign that introduced a mysterious element into her amazing journey across the ice field. Truly frightened and confused, the girl stood on the ice field, watching as a black rocket was rapidly rushing towards her, a typhoon carrying vague mysteries and unknown dangers. The rocket exploded in the air, the fire suddenly spread, filling the entire world with flickering light. A volcanic symphony played out in the skies, engulfing Amanda in a whirlwind of flame and mysterious beauty. Shrouded in flames, Amanda found herself in the heart of a whirlwind of fiery elements, her contours flickering in the light of the flames, creating the image of a mysterious phoenix rising from a flaming cocoon. A strange warmth that she had never felt before enveloped Amanda like the mysterious touch of a spirit beast, transforming her from icy to a gentle figure in a fiery whirlwind, born from the secret union of cold and flame. Much time later, Jackson could not understand what happened. Fragments of that mysterious night flickered in his memories, a puzzle, but some pieces remained lost in the labyrinth of the unknown. Emma said it was amazing and he was really good. As it turned out, Jackson again did not remember anything about dual cultivation, and there was an empty gap in his memories, a mysterious shadow in the past that he could not solve. In addition, the main character could not find a girl nearby. She disappeared, dissolving into unknown dimensions, and unspoken words and incredible emotions echoed in his soul. It is not clear that, in a split second, something began to happen, a mysterious sound inside his consciousness, a harbinger of something unusual approaching him from an unknown world. Amanda thanked Jackson, because thanks to him she made a breakthrough. Their destinies were intertwined at the moment of a mysterious event, leaving a trace of the unknown, but important in their lives. He said that everything was fine, it was nothing, because he still didn't remember anything. A moment of forgotten memory became only a fragment of their strange destinies. The next scene will take place on an island, where nature reveals its secrets, and the winds carry the whisper of waves, filling the air with an aura of mystery and adventure. This is the bone of the Dragon King, the essence of the skull of the Western Dragon, one of the 4 great dragons of the ancient world. She has the power to challenge heaven and earth, awakening age-old magic and instilling awe of the greatness of antiquity. On the island, Jackson, holding a dragon bone in his hands, felt the excitement of unknown secrets. Right at that moment, a guy appeared behind him, trying to attack. He was attacked from two sides at once. The enemy ambush maneuver became a reality. They failed, and Jackson remained alive, feeling the ghostly breath of a threat that was barely repelled. The Imperial City team could not understand when Jackson noticed them, because he was agile and vigilant. The seventh team, as expected, came for the bones of the Dragon King. Jackson, who had been watching the surprise attack, set his sights along the entire perimeter. This caused surprise among those present, as if secrets and intrigue were unfolding before their eyes. A huge web covers hundreds of meters. Its threads are used for a sense of direction, an instinct that guides them through the labyrinth. Jackson seriously asked Emma not to joke or cause trouble, feeling the importance of every moment on the island. The guy said that he saw the faces of the other two participants at the competition, and Jackson for the first time, adding a mysterious note to the situation. He admitted that he was just a poor guy who was lucky and had no support or rich family, creating a difficult fate. The guy mockingly said that he was very sorry, sarcastically mocking Jackson's difficult situation. Although he wanted to make friends, he didn't feel it was necessary, creating a mysterious distance between himself and Jackson. After these words, in a split second, a wild wolf spirit beast appeared with 10 sparkling stars in its aura. The place where he instantly began to attack opponents turned into an arena of struggle between the forces of nature and the ambitions of people. In rage and rage, the wolf attacked with unrelenting fury. Nature itself was indignant at the violation of its harmony. Jackson was surprised, because instead of attacking directly, the wolf chose the weakest animal, earning its attention and exposing itself. He knows that the protagonist must fight in a system with multiple beasts, creating strategic complexity in the battle. He asked whether Jackson's tactic of attacking the weakest first was part of his cunning strategic plan. The guy said that if the main character is smart, he will give up the bones of the Dragon King, and perhaps he will be left alive, creating the conditions for strategic choices. Jackson was only rank 9, so it was unwise to fight against 3 at the same time while facing superior strength. They decided to attack together, trying to act quickly and not give the guy a chance to breathe and recover. Jackson declared that he would not be so easy to kill, and that he would gouge out their eyes, the sounding threat disturbing the peace of the island. The protagonist began to use a dominant lightning fist, and everyone was forced to close their eyes in front of the dazzling power, creating a moment of unknown threat. One of the guys decided to open his eyes slightly to look into what was happening, feeling the inevitability of the events that were developing in front of him. Realizing that Jackson was just playing with them, the guy realized that they were trapped in their own ambitious attack. 2 blows in a row felled him. They could not let him leave alive, despite all the circumstances. Amanda reported that they were coming after them, sounding a warning of an approaching threat. If before there was no road, but he walked, it means there was a path, an opportunity created by him to overcome difficulties. The girl was confident that she was right, and they were really catching up with Jackson, the shadow of an unpredictable fate overtaking him. Jackson had lost almost no organs, his body was protected by an invisible blanket of incredible endurance. Jackson was glad that the lava stopped them, realizing that he apparently had a tree attribute and fire was a danger to him. Realizing that they still needed to act, they decided to organize joint resistance against the advancing threat. The protagonist was surprised that they were going to attack from such a distance, creating a strategic advantage in their favor. The guy at that moment created a magical dome around the wolf, a sudden defense that repelled the enemy attack. The wolf had improved ice armor, and he used it to overcome the distance and get to Jackson. The guy declared that he had enough running and it was time to fight, raising the challenge and taking the battle to a new stage. Jackson reported that this was not enough to scare him, but the fire of indomitable determination burned in his soul. For some unknown reason, he raised his hand up, hinting at something, a mysterious action introducing a secret dynamic into their encounter. Finally, he only told them to feel his passion, charging the air around him with the magic of his inner fire. Sophia said that this time she would be useful. Her words sounded determined to contribute to the fate of the collision. Another humanoid, an elemental beast, hid under the lava, embodying itself as a force of nature. Jackson ordered Sophia to return to him. She was the key to some important link in their strategy. To everyone's surprise, the 11th star beast, the goddess of thunder, appeared, an epic force interfering with the course of events. Nevertheless, the main character managed to escape. He avoided the trap hanging over them. Jackson is confident that they are now safe. The battle episode is over, and there will be time to recover and plan next steps. He noticed that Alice needed more rope to get out. They found themselves in a situation that required careful preparation for a new stage of research. And then the understanding came that he needed to act differently, otherwise it would be bad. Consciousness instilled the urgency of a change in strategy. Alice held on with her last breath, a thin thread of light stretching between her and the unknown. Of course, Michael from above could not understand what was happening there. An opaque veil of mystery hid the essence of events. Jackson began to panic and say that this was the end, despair slowly covering his inner world. The guy was lucky, because he managed to grab the girl's clothes, suddenly found support in the abyss of failure. She was completely embarrassed, because her clothes were now being torn off. The unexpected situation brought additional discomfort. The guy looked her straight in the eyes, thanked her, and asked her not to worry, because there was nothing wrong with her dress, it was just slightly torn. Alice begged Jackson to let her go. Her voice sounded alarmed and worried about the unknown. The tiger and Michael from above were at a loss, because they could not understand what was happening below. The mysterious dynamics of events created confusion. Of course, the 7th team could not just leave Jackson. There was no room for failure in their ambitious plans. Jackson asked if he was going to stop him, drawing Team 7's attention to his determination. Amanda was next in line to act, and she was responsible for the next move in their strategy. The ice is about 5 meters thick and no weapon can break through it in such a short time, creating a barrier to the next stage of their journey. Jackson could not understand what he was holding in his hands. The mysterious object added mystery to their adventure. After a few seconds, he realized that Alice was still hanging from the rope, a sudden whirlwind of misunderstanding flaring up inside him. To the surprise of everyone, the ice suddenly began to crack. Nature itself decided to add its own dramatic note to current events. The team couldn't figure out what they had done to break the ice barrier, and nature's mysterious reaction left them perplexed. And at that moment, a wild-fanged wolf, the spirit of the forest, began to growl at Jackson, warning him against further steps. The guy quickly reacted and began to defend himself. The wave of sudden aggression required an immediate response. Amanda could not leave her master in trouble and began to help him. Their unity in the fight gave strength. Then Alice joined in, who also wanted to help. Joining forces created a powerful alliance in the fight. But her plans came to a screeching halt as an unexpected turn of events brought instability to their strategy. 10 stars, this guy's fighting skills are much better than the Earth Dragon. Jackson can't fend it off and can't summon Sophia in this state, creating a scary standoff. Jackson asked Amanda to let him in, because he really needed her energy. It contained key support for his next action. Amanda did not resist at all and was ready to help her master. Devotion and service were in her essence. Jackson was slightly perplexed, because something began to happen to the girl. The magic of her energy gave birth to unexpected changes. Everything was already the same, after all, but something began to work out for them. The solution was approaching, illuminating the path to possible success. And after this, Jackson was more confident in his abilities. The sequence of actions gave him internal stability. He could easily pick up and lift this wolf to defeat. His strength increased to previously unprecedented heights. Michael decided to look down and ask if they were still below, concerned about the course of events. And at that moment, Jackson jumped out with Alice in his arms, an unexpected maneuver introducing uncertainty into their strategy. Jackson repeated his words that no one would slip through, emphasizing his steadfastness in keeping his promises. Alice said that it was still his fault and asked him to come back and pay for her dress. Her dissatisfaction showed in her demands. Jackson did not see this as a problem at all. His confidence in his actions remained unshakable. Emma asked to trust her, because with her they definitely wouldn't catch up with them. She had her own plan that required trust and support. Alice felt sorry that all the dragons had already been captured, and they definitely lost the first round. Disappointment shrouded her heart. It was Jackson's responsibility to apologize to the Lord when he returned. He understood the importance of showing respect. They were in a stupor when they learned that there were other dragons here. Meeting unexpected allies or competitors was a surprise. Emma could show them where they were, but she needed one condition: a mysterious deal would create intrigue in their journey. They would be able to find an earthly dragon. Far from any, the prospect of meeting a unique creature lifted their spirits. This was good, because Emma was worried that she would not allow her master to fight with her. Her loyalty was looking for its way out. Of course, Michael, as always, was afraid of everything around him. Fear was his constant companion. Jackson asked to be careful if they were still left, because it must be something more powerful. The anticipation of danger hung in the air. At this time, some girl was talking about some group of losers. The conversation about opponents introduced some irony into the atmosphere. It had been so long and not a single team had come out, the anticipation creating tension in the air. The woman said that the team that came out was lucky that they left before her patience ran out. The threat of a timer added to the dynamism. The sun will set soon, but someone still hasn't come. It seemed like it was all over. Time was running out, leaving doubts in the dark. Just as the countdown to the end of the round began, the same guys who had dealt with Jackson appeared. the sudden return creating a new turn of events. The woman could not understand whether he was really a participant, because he did not have a storage device. His absence raised doubts about his status. They had one thing: he doesn't know when they lost him. The mystery of the events left room for many questions. It's good that they got there. If they cross this line, they can move forward. Overcoming an obstacle opens up new perspectives. And just at this time, Jackson was ahead of them. His strategic move brought an unexpected result. Rebecca was glad that Jackson was okay. Relief filled her heart. Some two girls were discussing this situation at that time. Interest and thoughts were reflected on their faces. The guy was furious, because Jackson was able to survive after all these assassination attempts. His endurance aroused respect and bewilderment at the same time. As far as the woman knew, there were only 4 dragons here. Even if Jackson crossed the line one step earlier, he would not be able to pass without an earth dragon. The main character said that they also have a dragon. An unexpected ace up his sleeve added a touch of intrigue. The woman asked if they had found the dragon, curiosity filling the air around them. The guy believed that this was dishonest, because you couldn't accept a cub that didn't even have hair on its body. His objections caused discussion. The woman didn't say that the dragon had to weigh more than a couple hundred kilograms. The details of the rules added complexity to the situation. From such words, the guy became furious. His hot inner state began to break out. According to the government's final interpretation, they cheated and they do not pass. The government's conclusion creating ambiguity in the decision. At this time, the governor's urgent order arrived, the unexpected turn of events creating tension in the air. The governor demands that this team be allowed to compete. His decision was critical to the course of events. Even if they have to use the most ridiculous excuse, they should let them advance. It's okay if they end up with 5 teams. At this time, she announced that both teams were moving on, a decision that brought relief to all participants. Jackson realized that now he would have to change the rules for the next game. Since there were already 5 teams participating in it, the new dynamics required adaptation. The owner of the house had no idea that they knew the little dog from the area. The secrets of the past gave her life a mysterious quality. Some stranger has no enmity with them, it's just a personal grudge. They will be competing in the second round, so he would appreciate it if the girl allowed them to compete. The promise of her words sounded like a vow of mystery, a wind in the dark night bringing tidings of change. She assured that the schedule would be announced tonight. An unknown voice sounded a warning, telling the girl not to worry about how Jackson had offended him, emphasizing that it would be better for her peace. All indications are that Jackson has information that is integral to them and may be aware of the purpose of their journey, creating a mysterious puzzle around his identity. At this particular time, in Jackson's living room, the guy was enjoying the shower, adding to the mystery of the atmosphere of his apartment. It turned out that Emma had visited him, warmly greeting him as he enjoyed a shower in the living room of his apartment. Surprise filled the air when he didn't invite her, and surprise flashed in her eyes. Her heart beat faster, a meeting with fate that suddenly burst into the gray reality and painted it with bright colors. The talisman, separating their owner by a certain distance, allows them to return to their original form, but if the owner lost the talismans, they would forever lose the ability to transform. Now everything became clear to Jackson. The last shadows of misunderstanding, arranged like a puzzle in his mind, disappeared, and he felt the completeness of understanding, like the sun penetrating through the clouds. Rebecca was the guy's next guest to contribute to the evening, a new note in the melody that unfolded in their meetings. Her eyes did not escape how the guy and girl found themselves in an obscene position, and she watched, feeling a mixture of curiosity and delicacy, a witness to an unknown dance of feelings. Jackson began to explain that everything was not as she thought, promising to immediately remove the girl. It turned out that she had come to apologize. Her partner's behavior remained terrible, and she sought to correct the impression, intending to restore harmony in their relationship. Jackson assured Rebecca not to worry as he noted that she was nothing like her unpleasant partner, encouraging her to believe in her own uniqueness. Jackson was interrupted again by a knock on the door, and he glanced to the side, trying to unravel the mystery that seemed to be haunting him at that moment. He urgently needed to hide. He didn't want her to see them together, but there was no secluded place in this small room. But the girl still found a way out by solving the puzzle, and her solution turned out to be an unexpected twist in the plot. As it turned out, it was Alice who suddenly entered the game, the heroine of an unexpected fairy tale, giving this moment a new dimension. She couldn't understand why Jackson left so early, and misunderstanding flashed in her eyes, a riddle that needed to be solved in this evening labyrinth of feelings. At this time, Rebecca hid in an unknown location, a shadow in a world of mysteries, adding intrigue to the clue to her whereabouts. Saying that he didn't have trousers, so he wouldn't be able to get out of bed, he invited her to feel at home, creating an atmosphere of trust and intimacy at this unusual moment. Knowing that she would come, he prepared 2 cups of tea in advance, anticipating her arrival and wanting to create a cozy space for their meeting. Alice took this as a hint, because he had anticipated her arrival and undressed, creating an atmosphere full of warmth and openness, emphasizing the peculiarity of their connection. Just announced that due to injuries in short teams they are moving to playing one player per team in the next challenge. They have changed the rules so that each team will only represent one member. As it turns out, Alice wants Jackson to represent them, seeing him not just as an ally, but as the personification of their strength and determination. The three appear to be trying to get in on the action, emphasizing their willingness to take on a challenge, adding to the excitement of the upcoming fight. Perhaps more information will emerge tomorrow morning, awaiting unfolding events that may shed light on the mysterious aspects of the current situation. As it turns out, Alice had one more thing, an unexpected element in the equation that could change the course of events. She asked what he thought of Rebecca, seeking to understand his view of this mysterious girl and revealing an additional aspect of their relationship. Jackson immediately became nervous and began to say that Rebecca was good, trying to emphasize the positive aspects of her personality and resolve possible doubts. Alice asked what if he had to choose between the two of them, who would he choose, introducing an element of tension into their conversation and waiting for an answer that could change the dynamics of their relationship. Jackson simply replied that it was impossible to choose, avoiding a direct answer and leaving the question hanging in the air, like a riddle without a clear solution. Since he could not choose, Alice decided to act, taking the initiative into her own hands to change the course of events and resolve the current situation. She asked what it was about her that she couldn't compete with, challenging her and putting her confidence on the line, waiting for an answer that could change the dynamic of their relationship. The main character was clearly delighted by all this, feeling the magic of the moment, which revealed new facets and possibilities to him. Rebecca bit Jackson's leg and said that Alice was no better than her, introducing an element of play and showing her confidence in her qualities. Alice could not understand what was happening to Jackson, reading mysterious signs in his behavior and looking for an explanation for unexpected events. He explained his behavior by saying that he simply had a cramp in his leg, trying to explain what had happened and to clear up the misunderstanding that arose around his reaction. Jackson heard someone knock again, an echo of the previous excitement, and he felt the tension in the air rise again, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty. Alice realized that no one should see her in such indecent clothes, and she also began to hide, reacting to the new excitement and trying to avoid unnecessary attention. A lady came to him, and he had to stand up and greet her properly, fulfilling social duties and emphasizing his courtesy. He again said that he was not wearing pants and suggested that we sit down, maintaining his spontaneity and sense of humor at a strange moment. At this time, two girls met just like that, under very strange circumstances. The mysterious threads of fate intertwined their lives in an unusual turn of events. The lady decided not to reveal anything about herself and asked if he had dated a certain guy and others, keeping his past secret and arousing interest in his own experiences. He explained that they fought in the cave, remembering the exciting moment and trying to transfer the energy of that event into the story. She began to explain that they were members of the Imperial Guard, not only close associates of the ruler, but also members of the families of high-ranking officials and relatives of the emperor, revealing the complex hierarchy of their status. The girls both tensed, feeling an invisible tension in the air, indicating that events were taking an unexpected turn. Jackson realized that she was not in league with these three, which meant that the purpose of the visit must be different, reading between the lines and trying to decipher her real intentions. On the contrary, she will be able to save them, but she needs to know what happened between them, anticipating the unfolding secrets and preparing for the decisive moment. Jackson began to explain that he was being hunted because he had discovered their secret in the cave, introducing a new element of the mystery and creating tension around his discovery. Of course, that they were interested in learning about the secret, curiosity flashed in their eyes, ready to open up in search of secrets. These two boys did this, bringing to mind events in Jackson's mind that left a mark on his memories. They both really believed it. The lady noted that the story was really interesting, emphasizing her recognition of the story's fascination and creating an atmosphere of anticipation. The second round begins tomorrow, and she decided that Jackson could tell her another version of the story before the competition began, challenging him and waiting for more pieces of his mysterious past to be revealed. If she is pleased, she may accept him as her pet, creating an intriguing prospect and encouraging perseverance in the face of a challenge. He was asked to think about it, leaving the question open and giving him the opportunity to weigh his feelings and decide whether he was ready to accept such an offer. After both girls left, Jackson noted that they could come out too, giving them freedom of choice and emphasizing equality in the situation. This was indeed a difficult test for both. They overcame difficulties together, which only strengthened their relationship. Alice asked Rebecca what she was doing in her rival's room in the middle of the night, hinting at a misunderstanding and wanting clarification. She, in turn, asked why Alice was hiding in bed, since she was such a saint, challenging and raising the curtain of mysterious moments. The relationship between them was clearly tense, an invisible wall stood between them, waiting for the conflict to be resolved. Rebecca asked if Alice had heard Jackson invite her to sit down, paying attention to the nuances of their interaction and trying to clear up any misunderstandings. She didn't hear it, but Jackson was the first to invite her to sit with him, revealing a new aspect of their meeting and adding complexity to their relationship. Today, Jackson must choose one of them, facing a difficult decision that could change the course of events. The guy couldn't come up with anything better than to say that the master had come, sincerely expressing his dissatisfaction with the lack of originality of the wording. And, of course, a split second later Jackson began to quickly run away, reacting to the unexpected circumstance and trying to avoid possible consequences. The girls tried in every possible way to stop him at that moment, to delay him at least for a moment and understand the reason for such an unexpected decision. It got to the point where they completely ripped the covers off him, and the whole thing turned into an uncontrollable comedy, creating laughter and awkward moments. In the morning, Michael came to him and said that they were going to an auction, a harbinger of a new day full of unexpected events and opportunities. Then, finally, the guy realized that the door was not locked, realizing his inattention and creating the opportunity for new scenarios. Inside he saw Jackson, Alice, and Rebecca, opening the door to the unpredictable world of their relationships. The three of them were talking in their sleep at that moment, immersed in the world of dreams, where the connection between them flowed through a special channel. All the teams were assembled and the draw began, a moment of anticipation that heralded the start of the competition and brought excitement into the atmosphere. In this round, out of 8 teams, lots are drawn to determine the opponents. The winner advances to the final round. Considering that there are only 5 of them now, the woman would like to invite 3 masters from the imperial capital to spar with them. Everyone present thought that this was too much and did not agree to this. They had a choice, either they stop talking or come up to the draw. All 3 came for Jackson. If even one of them pulls Jackson out, it will be a disaster. Alice said that Rebecca shouldn't worry about their Jackson. Still, one of the guys couldn't stand it and decided to come up to the draw. As it turned out, there was some strange toad inside. It was announced that all 4 matches would begin in 20 minutes. The 3 of them did not draw the required lots. He was lucky that Jackson had a chance to escape the 3 of them. This is becoming more and more interesting. Fortunately, Michael, Alice and Jackson managed to escape from the 3 of them, and the goddess of luck did not abandon them. Someone wanted Jackson to witness these 2 fighting on the battlefield, but still it was not the goddess of luck. All this was her doing. She wants to make him her pet. The rules of the game were simple, just don't kill anyone. One of the guys tried to say something to Jackson, but at that time he did not look at him at all. It turns out that last time it was a thunder beast. The guy ordered his pet to start attacking and tear the enemy to pieces. Jackson, in turn, began to call his pets. Alice couldn't understand why he used this particular beast. Emma will be first on this list. She, in turn, easily attacked the enemy. In addition, she managed to hook the guy, which was quite important. Rebecca asked him to admit that he had a head injury, but he was still conscious and held on until the last, without showing any weakness. He actually said that for him it was just a scratch. Emma managed to complete her task after all. The guy said that the word surrender is not part of his credo. Well, he simply had no choice because Jackson won anyway. The fat guy weighs 2,400 pounds, and he in turn weighs 2,500 pounds, which was no small advantage. The referee said that taking life is not allowed. The match should only end if one of them gives up or falls from the ring. Jackson asked Sophia to make him surrender. Hot wax will make him rethink his behavior. Jackson became interested in the wax and decided to look at this spectacle. Sophia and Amanda began to act together for the common good. Of course, the guy could not withstand such pain. At this moment he thanked his pet because he was covering for him. Through their common efforts, they achieved their goal little by little. Still, the guy gave up and was not going to fight anymore. Michael and Alice immediately ran up to Jackson to congratulate him. Jackson was afraid that later it would not be as easy as everyone thought. The first round was over, and of course Jackson moved on. Next is the semi-final match. The first 2 participants are Jackson and James. Alice told him to be careful if he thought he couldn't hold out, because safety came first. The woman said that the lady asks me to tell you that it's not too late to change your mind. She said Jackson would be punished for his response. Then the watermelon that the woman was holding between her legs simply broke with ease. The guy who competed with Jackson started telling him not to be nervous because he wouldn't kill him. So, the first semi-final match begins from now on.